As of today, November 8th, 2019, this TV is now deemed fully restored. Fully restored electrically. Cabinets restored. So the next steps, and probably my first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the brass mold or brass trim pieces and the safety glass back on after I re-clean the CRT. It's a bit dusty. And just to give you a good idea how well the tuner works now, this is channel 13, doing the bar sweep right here. You can still make out the lines right about here, then it disappears, so it's pretty good resolution. But, so this is channel 13. Now, on this guy, back down to 12. And there it is. This is showing you every channel. It's 11. 10. 10 was a little hard to do. 9. 8. 7. Mind you, I'm not even touching the fine tuning. 6. 5. 4. 3. And I can back up one more, may as well, to channel 2. I do not have any of the UHF tuning strips, but there you go. Every channel comes in absolutely perfect with a flick of a wrist. Well guys, here it is, fully complete. And this is probably the last time I'll be out of the TV for a while. The good news is I was able to fabricate a high voltage cage. And I'll lead up to that in just a second. Everything's in place. I also have the brass trim and safety glass back on. Looking pretty good. Yeah, this thing was rough when I got it. It had so much rodent urine up here. I mean, it ate away at this shaft a little bit. Look how much skinnier it is in that place. And surprisingly, these potentiometers where the outer case is rusty like that, they work just fine. It's just the outer case that got messed up. So this thing had a rough life. And one of the questions I got was, well, I got this radio or TV from the late 40s, and all its resistors are still good. Yeah, you also got to realize, how was it stored? This was stored in a damp basement for 50 plus years, and those old carbon comps will just absorb all that moisture and make them go up in value. And even smaller ones, that's what I kept running into. 80% were bad in this. So that was why I redid it. Just redo the whole thing. I mean, at that percent, if it's just a handful, that's different, but they're all bad. So, giving you a good look over of the chassis. It's clean. I mean, it has a little bit of corrosion on it, but it's so, considering what it came from, I mean, this looks night and day from when I first got it. This aluminum mesh here was used to fabricate the back cover. And once it's screwed in place, it's solid. It doesn't bend or flex hardly any. I already cut out the picture tube. You'll see that once in there. And we have a custom idea coming up for the picture tube cap at the end. But basically, I'm just doing a quick hold up. It's very close to what would have been on there originally, except the original one was most likely steel. And that's the other thing. Even though this was aluminum, due to the cost of things, we didn't think. We bought a 3 foot by 3 foot square of that and cut it out. I mean, I cut all this by hand, and we weren't sure how much we have in the bottom. And we did buy like a diamond plate pattern type cover, but its thickness was a little bit, just slightly over what it needed to be, and the chassis wouldn't slide in. So I got the idea. Why don't I just take the two pieces, you know, cut them out, and I riveted it right down the middle. And I cut the corners, and I'll tell you, I mean, that's about it. It's nice and sturdy now. And that's pretty much what was in the TV originally in the bottom. Except it was the same color as that outer piece here. So that's been taken care of. So that's where we're at. And now I'm gonna put the chassis back in the TV. One last look at the bottom here. All that work sure paid for itself. I mean, and this thing's been on probably about 20 hours between all the adjustments and troubleshooting and everything, and not a single problem underneath. All resistances match what's on the SAMs. All capacitors are correct. Rebuilt the vertical integrator circuit right there. Did a lot of work. But there you go, that's the bottom of this beauty. And there we have the original speaker reinstalled. Well, it's always been the original speaker. I'm just saying, I should say, plugged back in. There's what the cover looks like underneath. And again, since it's a non-visible piece, really, I mean, yeah, I did it nice and neat, but still, it's no problem having like this on the bottom. My concern is, what if one of the kitties gets under there? Don't want their tail hitting it or something. Serial number B800-2795. Cabinet serial number 759. Everything's in place. It's looking good. The rewound field neutralization coil works perfectly. The new vertical output transformer works perfectly. High voltage cage now looks complete. There's also a cage that's supposed to go around the power supply, but don't really see a good way to mount it, and it's not necessary on that, so just leave it out. I only see one example of a CT-100 with one that had it. So there we go. Nice shot from the rear. Now we're just about wrapping things up here. There was a sticker that was underneath the new metal shield, directly adhered to the aquadag, which of course fell off with the aquadag, with the aquadag still stuck to the sticker. So I cleaned and best I could and laminated the sticker. And I know it's supposed to go underneath, but unless I absolutely have to, I'm never taking this tube out unless I have to. So I decided to glue it on the top of the new metal shield. And that serial number is correct. 59 is the year, 1959. So this was a rebuilt 15 GP22 from back in the day. If you notice, a lot of other 15 GP22s will say 54 or even 53 at the beginning of the serial number, so that kind of confirms that. So yeah, I put that sticker on top. Also got the back cover on. I don't have the cover around the CRT yet, working on it. But yeah, total custom solution for this. Same piece as that. Also have the original VHF and UHF combiner, since you can plug in separate antennas and you run this jumper up to the antenna terminal. Just got done putting some Murphy's oil soap and cleaning the cabinet up. The original power cord is unfortunately beyond repair, so that's the replacement. If I can get it so you can see it. Focus and convergence knobs on the side. The top I just plan on leaving loose. I'm not gonna turn the wing nut clamps down on it in case I ever need to get into it. I'll have to take the whole back off. So yeah, that's what the back looks like for now. Also, the cabinet and lid serial numbers match, 759. So back as it is right now. And there it is, all shined up. Replacement power cord. I'll show the original, but there is no saving that. Pencil box is on. Very much thank you to Jerry Traub. Again, all those who contributed this will be thanked very shortly. Convergence and focus controls. Up close. So that is the original volume and brightness knob. As for my tuner, I'm just missing the channel indicator and the light shield that focuses the light behind there on only that channel number. Right now it pretty much shines around the whole diameter through those holes. But as far as I know, that is the original bulb from the TV, and it still works. There's the pencil box, RCA Victor. However, it was for a black and white TV of the era, which otherwise would be identical. So, unfortunately, it was in pristine shape. It was in pristine shape, but I had to make new holes for the controls in here. And due to how they were set up in there, that involved elongating two of them, like that. And so, and really, it's your contrast, your hue, your color, horizontal on the outside, vertical on the inside, and your tone control for the speaker. These are RCA knobs. I just don't have a fourth one to go with the tone control. But hopefully someday one will come along and we'll remedy that. But aside from having to make a modification for it, I mean, you flip it up and it's complete. That's it. That is the original grill cloth It's been thoroughly cleaned as well. All original slats, original safety glass, and a nice shiny top. It just doesn't get any better than that. And what you're looking at here is the official RCA modification to add composite video input to this. A lot of these TVs that didn't sell or were bought back, some of them ended up as studio monitors in TV stations, whatever, and you could add line level input. And I did just that. I built this circuit, but I took it a few steps further, and I'll show that. This case is somewhat vintage, new old stock. Harley Badger found it at a thrift store. It's a Archer brand from Radio Shack. It's at least, I would say, from the 70s. And that was the perfect size, and it was metal, aluminum, looks like. And well, let's just do this. On this circuit board here is that exact circuit, using, of course, modern capacitors, and the rest is just, you have one inductor, one detector diode, and metal oxide resistors. A tube socket riveted to the top uses a 12 AT7, exactly as shown here. What this circuit does, it boosts the composite video level from 1 volt peak to peak up to 5 volts peak to peak. And you also have to do some DC restoration on this as shown here, otherwise you're going to get brightness level fluctuations. So that's what that circuit does. You have a tube up there. The wiring coming out of here, going through some rubber grommets. But what I did, if you notice, and this is upside down how I'm going to have it, but I have a switch, video input, and an audio input. It does mention to do the switch in here, but it involves modifying the front panel or mounting the switch in the rear. This I did everything in one box. This switch in this position will be a direct pass-through from the tuner. That position there will be the AV input. And what's happening here is the audio doesn't need anything done to it, so it'll just hook directly into the volume control and go through for preamplification, then final amplification from there. I will show that on the schematic in just a second. The video input, of course, this position gets fed from the IF stages in this position, and then back through it, just the pass through. Flip here, does this through that circuit. So that's why there's 4 wires here. There's a set for video, and a set for audio. Over here, you got 4 wires. Black wire. Okay then. Bitch. The black wire is your positive 6.3 volts for the heater on the tube. The red wire, at least on the RCA, is supposed to be 285. Green wire is ground. Blue wire is a negative 30 supply for the DC restoration portion. Heater, ground, of course, is just going to come from this ground wire. No need to run a separate one for that. This whole case is grounded as well. And it's just on spacers, as you see here. Also added nylon cable ties on the other side, so as you doesn't move. Strain relief, whatever. So this is what it looks like assembled. Now, in reality, it's going to be like this. This is going to mount to the back cover of the TV. And only the switches and RCA jacks will be accessible from the back, but there's screw holes are for where my thumb is. Tube just like that. Now, while testing the TV, I did directly inject the composite input into the first video amplifier tube. This is a little low resolution, but from here it looks okay. Right where pin 2 is, pin 2 grid. And it does work, but given it's only 1 volt peak to peak, it's very dim. Black level is consistent, but the picture is dim. But I will tell you this, it looked absolutely fantastic on this set. And that's why I wanted to do this modification. The TV like this is so different than everything after it that it deserves this modification. And the best thing is, it's not a permanent mod. I can the way I did it, I can also easily remove it, and I will detail installing it. But anyhow, this is what it'll look like, just like that. And now we're going to take a quick look at the SAMs. Okay, in the SAMs, this is where we're going to be plugging in right here. So on my little switch, it's going to interrupt the connection here. It's a double pull, double throw, so that's why I can do audio as well. That's 3 times now. Okay, and I can't even think. Composite video will return here, as well as the tuner. So the nice thing about this is everything from the tuner and this entire circuit over here is removed from the circuit. As for audio, this is where we're gonna take it from. There's actually a shielded cable from the ratio detector circuit that goes to the volume control. I'm actually gonna take it off right here. This is the first video amplifier tube connected to pin 2. Down here, this little mess here, it's really hard to show because everything's so cramped. That's for the audio. And like I said, this is just enough wire so I can mount it on the back panel. Wanted to keep the run on this short. So, final connection made with the blue wire to my little rectifier board to the -30. So that's it. It's time to put it in and give this thing a test drive. All right, here it is after final assembly. I don't have the tube in it yet. Had to do a test run. Found the problem. There was no color information, and on the line, I was on tuner and line input, but there was also no synchronization vertically or horizontally. I mean, it was there, but it was fading in and out, and everything was messed up. The detector diode I used in there was defective. So I got another type altogether. I went in 60, installed that. I wasn't expecting much, fired it up. Oh yeah. So I did not record that because I was trying to make sure everything was cool first. And so yeah, we're ready to reassemble and demonstrate this thing. And this is where it ends up in the final product. So it does mount to the back cage. That said, that's the only inconvenience about doing it my method, is you have to take those 4 screws off before you take the rest of the cage off. But it's really simple. Just unscrew it, you know. And this is like the best location for it. There's plenty of clearance right around it. It's the shortest run to the circuits from the back. So switch is in this position here on the tuner. Now you're on line in. That's all there is to it. And here it is, all set up. I'm getting it ready to use it, so I'll just flip it like that into the DVD player. So yeah, now instead of 37 tubes, kind of 15 GP22, we now have 38 tubes glowing in this set. This is line input. I still have to readjust everything because while I installed it, I bumped a few controls. Regarding the screen, like I gotta redo grayscale on it, but definitely got the right voltage now for line level. Picture stable. It's beautiful. This is perfect as it can get. One last thing I'm going to show is all the parts I've pretty much changed out of the set. Starting with the power cord, as I mentioned earlier, this whole part here was no saving, and it's right up against it, so I couldn't do a splice or anything. So keeping the original power cord, actually both ends were messed up, looks like, but not savable. As soon as you bend it, it cracks. So this is the vertical integrator I changed when I was having vertical problems. Mica capacitors. Let's see, this bag here is everything else. You got your resistors, your paper caps, your, let's see, more paper caps, that bad wire wound resistor for the blue G2 control. Resistors I changed. It's a heavy bag. I am keeping all the components I changed in this set. The detector diode in the tuner, the field neutralization coil. This was the vertical output transformer. I think I showed the full box before. Got lucky to find an exact replacement. The channel selector knob. I bought a horizontal oscillator, the synchro guide transformer, because remember when I was having all those trouble with the horizontal, and turned out this wasn't the problem, it was those mica caps, but that was a pain. Here are let's see, that one right there is the vertical output transformer that failed. Then you have the vertical convergence transformer in that big box there, which still tests fine, but for how long? Don't want to take out a unobtainium component from that. So that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna play a couple things to wrap up this series. And I know like people would play like Wizard of Oz or other period correct material, but one thing I always wanted to see on this was Back to the Future. If you think it's sort of it, I mean 1955, 1954. And after that, I'll show one more thing, which is totally unrelated, but it really would show off the colors on this set. And it's kind of in progress now, so let me do some adjustments here to lighting. Forgive the mess, because we are starting to finish the basement. This whole basement's going to be completely finished. We only got one wall done. That's all we could do for the time being.
What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour!
And this is a direct AV connection now.
The thermal displacement occurred exactly 1:20 a.m. in 0 seconds!
The best thing about this is the audio is going to be immune to macrovision because it's directly past all the IF stages. And the video, it still does it, but I can adjust the vertical hold to the point where it hides those lines you see. And it seems to be working perfectly. This is actually my DVD player. I bought July 2001 and it still works fine. I couldn't find my Y adapters, but it'll work for a demonstration. Now all 38 tubes are glowing.
Can do 90. What do you think you're doing? Biff. Hey, I'm talking to you, McFly, you Irish bunk.
Oh, hey, Biff. Hey, guys. How are you doing?
Hey, you got my homework finished, McFly?
Well, actually, I figured since it wasn't due till Monday.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think, McFly, think. I gotta have time to recopy it. Do you realize what would happen if I hand in my homework in your handwriting? I'd get kicked out of school. You wouldn't want that to happen, would you? Would you?
Well, now, of course not.
No,
I wouldn't want that to happen.
What are you looking at, butthead? Hey, Biff, do you know what this guy's life is like? Stuart thinks he's gonna drown. Yeah, so how about my homework, McFly?
One question might be, how does it compare to using it on the tuner? Since I fully did the IF alignment and everything, the picture's really close. Pretty much the same, really. It's just with cheap RF modulators and stuff for using on DVD players, you really gotta mess with the fine tune to get it just right on this particular set. So by using the AV input, especially for playing Macrovision stuff, I mean, as you see, it's not gonna affect the audio any now. In video, I can just adjust the vertical hold to get those Macrovision lines out of the picture. It seems to work just fine. And I'm very impressed. It's a very, very clean image now.
I paid a white line on this street way over there. That's where you start from. I calculated the precise distance, taking into account the acceleration speed and wind resistance retroactive for the moment the lightning strikes, which will be exactly 7 minutes and 22 seconds. When this alarm goes off, you hit the gas. Hey! Well, I guess that's everything. Thanks. Thank you. In about 30 years, I hope so. Don't worry. As long as you hit that wire with a connecting hook at precisely 88 miles an hour, the instant the lightning strikes the tower, everything will be fine. Right. What's the meaning of this? We'll find out in 30 years. It's about the future, isn't it? It's information about the future. I warn you about this, kid. The consequences could be disastrous. That's a risk you're gonna have to Please, come on. Ah!
For this last clip, I'm going to play something that shows off the colors very well on this set. It has an excellent music video it has an excellent song to accompany it. One of my very first videos I uploaded on YouTube was called Underwater Fantasy, if you want to search for it. And another one of my fascinations about doing this is playing things on vintage electronics well beyond their original lifetimes. I mean, by the time this happened, this movie from 1980 was 26 years old. This TV was 26 years old already. So here we go. This will show off the beautiful colors. And for another video, I'm gonna definitely do a side-by-side with another TV just so you can see the difference. For this part of the video, I'm turning off all the lights to reduce any glare because off the safety glass. So here we go.
But this crowd expects perfection, and there's the man that can give it to them. It's been said before, but it bears repeating. When this boy dives, he goes off into his own world.
There is a world
gonna top that. The Dean Wilson story, a natural athlete who has made the most of his God-given talent.
Well, guys, it's all finished. After this over 2-year restoration, it's finally, as I deem, 100% done. It doesn't get any more done than this, and it's absolutely beautiful. Just amazing, this set. So, I'd like to thank you for watching through all these parts. I certainly learned quite a lot from it. And we'd also like to give many thanks to those that went above and beyond helping us restore this set. If you stay tuned for the credits, we'll give credit where credit is due. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
That's all right.
Three, two, one.
You can take a selfie.
Wait. That's
Okay, now start back over after CT-100.
why.
So you just because.
Oh, look, Billy. What did I say after that?
You're just gonna have to make something up.
Okay.
I can't see because your fake belly is in the way.
Oh, that's all right.